Hello everyone, this is Miss Smith, and the purpose of this video is to discuss the rhetorical situation. Now you should have read about the rhetorical situation in your textbook, but I want to take a moment to go over it with you again, because for every writing assignment we have this semester, you will need to apply the rhetorical situation. Let's get started. You may have heard the word rhetoric used in negative contexts. The used car salesman trying to unload an unreliable car. The politician making false promises just to get people's votes. Someone being dishonest or trying to spin a story to make it sound believable. But in an academic context, especially in English composition, we want to define rhetoric as ethical persuasion, using the best possible means of communication to convince your readers of your credibility as a writer or communicator. In order to be a persuasive and convincing writer or communicator, you must first assess the rhetorical situation. The rhetorical situation is essentially the circumstances that cause you to have a need to write or communicate. I'll say that again. The rhetorical situation is essentially the circumstances that cause you to have a need to write or communicate. For every writing assignment in this course, you must consider the rhetorical situation. It will give you your best chance at writing an effective essay. Whenever we write, we have a set of circumstances that prompt us, that create the need for us to communicate. For example, if your car has a flat tire and you're stranded on the side of the road, you may text a relative to come and pick you up. That text message was prompted by a set of circumstances, a rhetorical situation that prompted your need to communicate. If you're applying for admission to a four-year college or university and you're required to write an admissions essay, that essay was prompted by a set of circumstances, a rhetorical situation, and that prompts your need to write. And so the rhetorical situation would be the circumstances that prompt us to write, and it affects what we write and how we communicate. There are 5 components of the rhetorical situation, and they are as follows: your purpose, your audience, your stance, genre, medium/design. So let's take a moment and let's go through each of these in detail. The first step in understanding the rhetorical situation is identifying your purpose. All writing has a purpose. A writer can have one or more purposes at the same time. Focus on your primary purpose when you're writing. Okay, so knowing your primary reason for writing can help us shape that writing and understand how to proceed with it. So for example, let's say you're writing an argumentative essay, which we will do this semester. Your main purpose may be to argue a point convincingly. But you could also have another purpose to inform your audience of what it is you're talking about, to make them aware of a situation or of a cause or of a need that exists. And so though your purpose could be to argue and your purpose could be to inform, you want to focus on that primary purpose, which in that case would be to create a solid argument. And with that purpose in mind, it will help you tailor your writing so that you are creating that assignment in an argumentative fashion. Okay? You want to refer to your textbook for useful tips on ways to identify your purpose. I won't go into all of it right here, but from your readings, the book does outline a lot of good, useful tips to help you identify your purpose. Audience. You must ask yourself, who will read your writing? You must also consider whom you are targeting with your writing. An effective writer or communicator will understand his or her audience, their knowledge, needs, and expectations. Your audience will interpret your writing according to their own expectation and experiences, not yours. The book talks about known, unknown, and multiple audiences, so it's good to go back and read over that section because it will help you further define who your audience is. Now, in this course, I am always your audience for your writing. As a student, you should aim to persuade me that you understand the assignment given and can meet the assignment guidelines. So for example, if I've asked you to write a 4 to 6 page essay and you give me a 3-page essay, you're not showing me that you understand the assignment guidelines. You're not showing me that you're meeting the assignment guidelines. You're not persuading me. Okay, and so you always want to keep your audience in mind, your audience expectations, your audience needs. And as another example, again, I am your college English instructor. If you send me an essay that has any portion of it written in text speak, for example, instead of the word you, Y-O-U, you use the letter U, then you're not persuading me that you're meeting the standard of college level English writing, right? You want to make sure that you keep your audience in mind, and you want to write and communicate according to what your audience expects and what your audience needs. Okay? Stance. Your stance is your attitude toward your topic. The way you express that stance affects the way you come across to your audience as a writer and a person. Okay, so the attitude and tone of your writing will reflect on you and will either convince or persuade the audience that you know what you're talking about, or it will make them think that you're a little uncertain. And so the book talks about avoiding qualifiers that detract from a confident, authoritative tone. And you definitely want to do that in your writing. You always want to sound confident, and you always want to sound like you understand what it is that you're talking about. And so stance is really important. But stance also includes tone. Okay, we haven't talked about that a lot right here, but it includes tone. So you don't want to have a harsh tone. You want to make sure that you have a respectful tone for your audience, and that all of that is included in that rhetorical situation in terms of how you're communicating to your audience. Genre. Genres are kinds of writing, essentially. Okay, there are different types of styles of writing, kinds of writing, and that's what a genre is. The writing genre can affect the style of writing and the writer's approach to an assignment. It is important that you understand the genre of writing. Okay, so again, the type of writing that you're doing will affect how you communicate. So you want to make sure that you're very clear about what is required for different types of writing. In this course, I will tell you the genre for each writing assignment. Be sure to read the information provided in your textbook to help you meet the requirements of the genre. And finally, medium/design. Media should also and always be considered as a part of the rhetorical situation. Your media affects how your communication is delivered and received by your audience. So for example, if you're delivering a speech to a group of classmates, the medium of face-to-face communication allows you to adjust your communication based on audience response. So if it looks like your audience is falling asleep, or if they're not interested, or if they're confused, you have an opportunity in face-to-face communication in that type of medium to adjust how you communicate, right? But if you're submitting a rough draft to me in Microsoft Word format, you cannot gauge audience response because you're not in a face-to-face format. Your document will have to speak for itself. Therefore, you'll want to use proper grammar and sentence mechanics to be sure your communication is as clear as possible. The writing assignment you submit this semester should demonstrate your understanding of the rhetorical situation. Never forget to identify your purpose for your writing, your audience, your genre of writing, your stance, and the medium you must use to communicate. Also, use the rhetorical situation for writing assignments in other classes or in the workplace. Understanding the circumstances that prompt your need to write will help you become a stronger, more persuasive writer and communicator. As always, if you have questions, please let me know.